we're going to have to review it, and you're going to have to come see me. The first thing that you're going to do is look at both the numerator and the denominator of your rational, and you're going to factor both of them. See what you can do. So all of the methods of factoring. Can someone, besides saying greatest common factor, another way that we factor polynomials?
Method.
So what's that called?
Factor.
It is factoring, but it's...
I just call it X method.
Addition.
Okay, addition, multiplication, which means product and sum.
Yeah.
So product and sum method. What's another one?
Grouping.
Bottoms up. What's that one where there's 4 terms in a polynomial? Grouping. Dots, difference of 2 squares. Okay, any one more? So, and so, good. Alright, so step 1, Cam, you're going to factor out denominator and numerator. And then the second step is you're allowed to cross out or cancel or anything if you get the same factor on both the numerator and the denominator. So if you get the same thing, you can cross it out, and that's how we're going to make it skinny and simplify it. Okay? So we're going to actually try a couple of these before I throw you to the wolves. Okay? The wolves. Alright, so let's try this one. Yeah, let me get this a little. Maybe you still need the top part? Can I at least, should I keep the second part? I like to move my smartboard, I'm sorry. I wish I could take it home with me. Today, honey, we're going to make some chicken marsala. I would love to have a smartboard. Oh my gosh. No,
He's gonna go buy us something.
honey, I don't have it for my birthday. No. Alright, so let's try this one together. The numerator. How would I try to factor that numerator?
You can do GCF.
I don't know if
the
you...
denominator.
I said numerator.
Oh, you. I thought you said
I thought you said the
You
denominator.
use the X method.
Like I said, the denominator. Let's do the denominator
Product and
first.
sum.
Sure.
Oh, wait.
Okay.
Maybe just use
So for the denominator, how would I factor out the denominator?
It's
So
6 and
it's
8.
an equal to.
GCF.
That's if I'm asking to do undefined. Right now, I just want to factor it.
The
X method.
Sum method.
I mean, dang it, I meant GCF.
Oh, come on. GCF.
GCF.
I've been saying that.
I know. Bree's been all about it.
Let's go, Bree.
Kobe,
My bad.
what can I factor out at the bottom?
2.
Okay, so if I factor out a 2, what would be left?
X and 4.
What type of 4?
-4.
So x minus 4, very good. Alright, now, for the numerator, what method do I use?
X method.
Okay, so maybe let's just put this over here to the side. So
6 and 4.
2,
6 and 4, yeah. Negative.
You get 2.
Negative 4.
so
You get 2.
negative 4 and what else?
No, make that, you threw up -6.
Like I said, you caught me, good job. Negative 4,
Wait,
and
so
what?
these have to be opposite.
And 6.
6.
Positive 6, there we go, so plus 6. So if I put this on my numerator as a factored form, does it matter how I put the order? Okay, so I'm going to put, I'll just put x plus 6 times x minus 4. Now, do you see in my second step, what's common between both the numerator and the
X
denominator?
minus 4.
So I'm going to compound,
Oh no.
okay? And then I'll put this up here, what am I left with?
X
X
plus
plus 6
6
over
over
2.
2.
That's my answer. I can't simplify that anymore. Is there any, I mean, really, can I factor out and do anything else with that?
No.
No. All right, let's try a couple more on your own. How about you try this one? Try this one on your own, ladies and gents.
If you're a common law,
We're gonna say you're
top
typing
and
that
X
one.
plus.
It'll go on the keyboard.
So, if you wanted to simplify that one, there would have to be a multiple in front of that x. So like if I had 2, then like 2x plus 6 over 2, couldn't I divide everything by 2? Yeah, but because that x is just a 1 with a coefficient.
Oh, you said?
Yeah. Yes.
How do you find the top, the numerator?
Is that one, can you factor that top?
No.
So what do you think you try?
Nothing. GCF. X, you can only take, no, you can take anything
then I'd say let's leave it. If you can't take out the top. I mean, as long as you look and you're aware, try the bottom.
One and negative 3.
So think of like division. What's 2 divided by 2? Okay, so anything divided by itself would be.
If it crosses out, it should be zero.
It is cross out, but think of division when you divide. So think of like an equation, a two-step equation or a one-step equation like this. How would I solve for x? Okay, so when I divide both sides by 2, when I cross out, does that make it 0, x equals 2?
That's
So what's 2 divided by 2? That's 1. And then do I need to put that one there? No, but for these you will.
okay, so
Yes. What's anything divided by itself?
1. Oh, wait a minute. I don't know why I put 0.
Alright, let me take a guess. A lot of you could factor the bottom one really simple.
Yeah.
Okay, so Amber, could you maybe help me out? What did you factor the denominator of my rational to be? You didn't do anything yet? Okay. Sonora, can you help me out?
What does that get?
Yeah, what did you get for these?
I got x plus 3. I mean x plus 1 minus. I do x minus 3.
Okay, I agree with that. Can we factor the numerator?
No.
No. So, guys, if you cannot factor the numerator, just rewrite it. All I care about is, remember when I talked about those steps about learning how to factor? You do your little mental checklist. You wait. Yes.
The top one and the bottom one and the first
Yes.
parentheses are the same thing. You cross it with that.
You do, in fact, cross those suckers out.
Parentheses.
You can use that. It's nice.
Okay, so at least let's do
That's
this.
why I said, he said it was wrong, Amber.
What's going to be on the bottom?
I know.
X minus 3.
Okay, this is something that you have to be aware of. If you cross things out and there's nothing left in the numerator, there is actually something still left.
1.
It's 1. Because, Miss David, what's anything divided by itself? Yeah, like what's 4 divided by 4? What's 2 divided by 2? So x plus 1 divided by x plus 1 is 1.
Okay.
Alright, let's try maybe one more. And then I think we'll be good to go. Oh, actually we have to do one more concept, I apologize. Okay, so this right here is like another thing I would star, because you may see this right here, this little sentence. This is going to kind of blow your minds when you see this. Okay? And this kind of actually goes along with what we just talked about when we cross out the same thing on the top and bottom. Okay? If I have a rational expression that look almost the exact same, but they're different in their signs and the order is different, you actually can factor and simplify them out. And as a special property, you're always going to get -1. Every time. Okay? So just visually take a note, go to mental picture. You see how I have a minus b in the numerator? Do you see how I still have a and b, but what happened from the numerator to the denominator? It switched, right? If you get almost the exact same thing, you're allowed to cross them out and you're left with a -1. Okay? And the reason behind that is, it's a sneaky math trick, is you took the greatest common factor out. Alright? It's always -1. Yes, Aaron?
Would it still be negative 1 say it goes a minus b and then on the bottom it was b plus a?
No. They have to be additive inverses, so they have to be both negatives.
Hey, can I keep it?
If they're both positive, it'd be positive 1.
Uh-huh.
Can I do a little footsie?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, so.
You mean like with an exponent?
So if it was, yeah, baby.
It's not quite the same.
Instead of
A plus B.
So this is what I think Janae was trying to say. If we had this,
No, it's not
oh, okay. So do you still want A minus B or B minus A? Which one, so.
B minus A.
All of it now, and I don't want all
Oh, she's asking a different thing. This right here, it's a sneaky way of, could I take out a -1? Could I factor out something in the bottom? And if you do, if I were to factor out a -1 from right here, this is a positive B. What's the, if I take out a -1 from a positive B, what type of B does it become? Okay. If I took out a -1 from a negative A, it's a positive A. Is this still the same thing as that? So that doesn't necessarily work.
Whatever is you want.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't. This is what I'm trying to talk out. This is where we're going to prove that you'll get -1. You don't have to do this in your work. It's just a mental checklist, but I'm going to show it to you. So. Okay. So, if you notice that you have the same terms on both sides, Sam. Okay. What if I were to take out a -1? If I took out a greatest common factor of -1 from the numerator, what would actually now make this become? What type of x is that? -x plus 2. And then isn't this right here, if I reordered the bottom, if I put the -x first, what type of 2 is that? It's a positive. So now do you see how I have the exact same thing? What am I left with? I'm left with -1.
So when we're doing a roller, do you want it in decimal or fraction?
So just, guys, all I'm saying is if you get the exact same thing on both sides, okay, but their order is different and it's a minus sign, you can cross them out and it's -1.
Are they gonna always be that simple or are they gonna?
So that's what I want to actually take a look at. This is the very last thing that we want to do. I bet all of us can factor the numerator. The denominator might be a little different.
Wait, what is this?
So do our 2 steps. Factor what you think is the easiest to factor first. And then we can go from there. So what do you think is easier to factor?
It's important because you're going to get some questions like this.
What is the bottom one?
With 3 squared, what is it? 3.
Do you know what it is?
What's 9 and what's that?
It's 3,
Put
and
that in
then
common.
they're both squares.
So what is
Is the
that?
bottom 3 minus 1?
Close. What type of factoring is that on the denominator?
Dots.
It's dots. It is dots.
Okay, are you gonna do it now?
Well, I want someone to tell me. If this is dots on the bottom, Cameron, what should that be factored to?
3 plus 1 and 3 minus 1.
I'm
Minus
just-
1x.
Okay. And then,
3 minus 1x.
okay. How about someone, Sam, could you help me factor the top one?
Yeah, x minus 3 and x minus 1.
Perfect. All right, so this is where this new property might come into play. Do you notice how on the top and bottom I almost have the exact same thing?
Yeah.
Which ones would I think about crossing out?
X minus 3, 3 minus 1x.
Because you see, they're the same numbers, their orders just switched. I am allowed, based by that property that we were talking about, that I am allowed to simplify them, but what's left?
-1.
So I usually put the -1 in the numerator. Is there anything else that I can cross out? So then when I simplify this, keep the -1 at the top and rewrite. everything that's left.